Hi, welcome to this episode of The Daily. My name is Brendan Malone. Spoiler alert, yes, this episode is going to contain some spoilers. If you've seen episode 10 already and beyond, then you're going to be fine. So in episode 10 of House of Cards, season 4, something very interesting happens. Claire Underwood, who is the wife of President Frank Underwood, played by Kevin Spacey, her mother is terminally ill, and she goes to visit her mother, and her mother asks her to euthanize her. And this scene, this act, the way this plays out in House of Cards season 4 is a classic example of everything that is wrong with legalised euthanasia and why euthanasia is such a serious risk to the vulnerable members of our community. So what happens is her elderly mother, who's isolated and alone, she's got a lot of money, but she lives by herself. She is alone, she's isolated and very lonely. This is, we've seen a lot of her character over previous episodes. We know a lot of her backstory. Her relationship with her daughter is absolutely dysfunctional. Her daughter hates her. We know that. We've already been told that there is total dysfunction between the two of them because her upbringing was not good. And the mother clearly has issues that clearly have had an impact upon that relationship. Her mother asks Claire to kill her, to euthanize her. She's initially a bit hesitant. And then the mother says to her something very interesting. She says, look, if you do this, if I die, so if you euthanize me, then we know that this will be good for your political career because Claire wants to be nominated to become Vice President of the United States. And she's got some stiff opposition and there's some really strong competition against that happening. And so her mother says, look, if I die, so if you euthanize me, then that'll be great for your political ambitions. So you should do this. And then she also says to her, look, let me at least do something in my life for once that actually benefits you. In other words, here's this elderly woman looking back on her life with serious regrets and feeling like an absolute burden and a failure as a mother because she hasn't cared for her daughter as she should. And she thinks now that committing suicide will be an act of care, that this will help her daughter because she's failed to do that previously. It's everything wrong with euthanasia, effectively. A vulnerable elderly person who's isolated, who believes that suicide is going to be an act of helping their siblings, so they feel a burden, an obligation to end their life for the sake of someone else. And the daughter is going to gain, and not just gain, but majorly gain by euthanizing her mother. And so she does. She euthanizes her mother. Now the scene is played out with this beautiful orchestral music, and it's portrayed as this really poignant and beautiful moment. But immediately after they've euthanized the mother, Claire then proceeds to head upstairs and have an adulterous one-night stand with a man, obviously who's not a husband, otherwise it wouldn't be adultery. Then within 24 hours, she turns up at a campaign rally and she announces to the world that her mother is dead, and she uses her mother's death, as political capital. She uses it to further and secure for herself the nomination as Vice President. In fact, previously before that rally, her husband Frank Underwood meets with one of her political rivals who poses a serious threat to Claire's chances of becoming Vice President. And he actually says to her, look, you might have a good story to tell the media, but we've got the best story in town now. Claire's mother has just died. In other words, this is all about this woman's death benefiting those who will carry on after she is gone. This scene, this act in House of Cards season 4, episode 10, sums up everything that is wrong with legalised euthanasia. And it explains exactly why you cannot legalise euthanasia, because it places vulnerable people in harm's way. And it's exactly why you can't legalise it, because wherever you legalise euthanasia, this is exactly what happens. What's most intriguing to me is that it took House of Cards to actually show us graphically, and I hope people realise and see what's right in front of them and playing out in this episode, because it's a really, really important lesson that we all need to take on board about this issue. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow on The Daily.